Good morning, everyone. Boy, am I glad to see you all here today. My name is Ann Hudgens, and I am currently serving as the president of the Unity of Fort Collins Council. And we are in a process where our ministers, Liz and Divine, left. Liz will be starting as the new minister at the Unity of Santa Fe December 1st. And we're in our own process of transition. So our community has a community meeting today at 11:15, right after the service, where we're going to spend some time as our Unity community envisioning what our future holds for us. It's all good. There's no worry. And it'll be exciting to have conversation among us about what's important to us and where do we go from here. So all of you are invited to stay. Normally, when we're hosting something like this, we would feed people lunch, but we have a pandemic. So we can't eat in groups indoors at this moment. So we're going to finish no later than 1 p.m. today, so that we can send you on your way without being too hungry. So I actually had trouble sleeping last night because I was so excited about the community meeting. So I've been looking forward to this. It'll be great to have a chance to spend time together and talking about what's important to us. I wanted to let you know that our next week's speaker is Reverend Sharon Bush. She is the partner of Reverend Jim Yaw, who spoke to us last week. And so the two of them are showing us what they have in their skill set. And one of the sweet things that Sharon said to me last week, sort of in this heartfelt thing, is she said, during this time period when you're between ministers, if anybody needs pastoral counseling, I'm available. And she just looked right in my eye and she said, nobody should be in the ER by themselves. And I'm thinking, wow, yeah, sweet. So I don't know if anybody has a plan to go to the ER. Hopefully not. I hope we're not going by ourselves. But just so you know that we've got support, and Sharon has done pastoral counseling for her whole life, so she's available to us as we need her. We've got a couple of traditional things coming up. Lil, do you want to say a little bit about the variety show?
You need to come up?
Sure.
I've never been live before. We're having I'm going to leave this on. We're going to have the after Thanksgiving potluck talent show with just a talent show. And we need your talent. And it can be from how to bake a cake to do the hokey pokey, or sing a song, or I tell jokes. I'll save them for then. But somebody else might tell better jokes, so that's okay too. And my cause is working on that too, and something should be coming out shortly. But if you can do something, let us know right away. Thanks, or we'll call you.
Bill, you have a question.
Is it in person? Yes. It'll be in person, and I believe Zoom as well for those who can't come.
Do you have to be talented?
We all are talented.
All right.
Did you say what time it was?
6 p.m.
6:30. Let's say 6.
6. I'll just keep making things up here.
And the date again is?
Friday, the day after Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah, Black Friday.
Whatever day that is.
Is that called Black Friday?
It'll save yourselves from Black Friday. So, okay. if anybody is here new, and if you are, we are happy to have you. Anybody who wants to tell us that you're here new today? We've got membership packets over, or newcomers packets, with information over there. So if you want to take a look, there's information specifically for you. And I also had a conversation last week with a person who'd been coming here for a while. And she said, how do you become a member of Unity Fort Collins? And it reminded me of the story when my husband of many years and I were contemplating getting married, and we asked advice from a trusted friend, and he said the answer to when you get married is when you already are. So the answer to when you become a member of Unity is when you already are. When you feel it, when you know it, that Unity is your place, and there's no other hoops to jump than that. If you know you're a member, so you are. And if you want to stay in friend status, you can be a friend too. So, but I just want people to know that it's super easy to open your heart to be part of Unity. One other exciting thing is our youth and family ministry has a game night Friday, this coming Friday, the 19th, thank you, at, I didn't write it down. 6 p.m. All right, Friday, this coming Friday, 6 p.m. here, a kids game night.
And also, I just wanted to let everybody know that today, for after services, we will be providing daycare to anybody that needs it, that wants to attend the community meeting.
Awesome, thank you. That's most appreciated. Well, I'd also, today's talk is Leanne Gable, who's a long-term member of Unity, and she's revisiting her talk, the Trust the Process talk, so I'm looking forward to that. But in the meantime, let's get on with our service. So let's just close your eyes for a second, get centered, and we'll say the Unity blessing together. It's on the white sheet if you don't know it. Our unity centers us in light and peace, allowing us to recognize our God within and to radiate that love to the world.
Always helps
You didn't hear that.
to know.
She can go ahead and start.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one.
Nancy, will you join us for the reading? Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate that. It's so nice to have an arm to hold on to or shoulder to lean on. Let me put this right here. Good morning, everybody. It's so great to see everybody here. It's wonderful. The reading that Leanne chose for this morning, it comes from a blog written by Connie Chapman. Now, I had to look up Connie. I wasn't aware of who she was, but she's a life coach, and she has a podcast as well as writing this blog. So the words I thought were perfect for a segue into what Leanne's going to talk about this morning, and I've really enjoyed working with them, and I hope that you enjoy listening to them this morning. And I'm going to hold it closer because my eyes are not. Okay. Place trust and faith in the unknown. When we trust the process, we allow the realm of the intangible to guide our ship and lead us step by step on our journey. Faith is a practice built upon a strong relationship with yourself, with your true self. I've struggled with faith my entire life, trusting the unknown, trusting partners and friends, trusting that if I let go of my white-knuckled grip, that I will be safe and my needs will be met. I've progressed substantially on this journey over the past few years. The strengthening of my faith, however, has not come from trying to attain it, nor by working to become more trusting or cultivating a greater sense of flow. Rather, it has naturally arisen as a result of coming to know myself in a greater, deeper, and much more profound way. Because when you really know who you are, how can you not have faith? Walk with feeling. Having trust requires you to close your eyes, take your attention off the world around you, and bring your awareness inwards. You do this as you know that what you can sense or feel on the inside is far, far more real than anything you can touch, see, or experience on the outside. Faith is built on that knowing, a knowing of the truth. It's to live with complete trust in the process, to feel your way through life, moment by moment. When you walk with faith, you walk with feeling. You make decisions based on your delicate inner whispers, the energy that tugs at your heart and calls you towards what you love. What others say is irrelevant. What your physical, fear-based world shows you ceases to impact you. Nothing sways you. Nothing. You're guided by an inner force. And this force is the force that creates worlds. It's as infinite as the universe and has the power to paint whatever picture on the screen of your life that you wish to see. What you see is irrelevant because, as you know, you only see what you want to see. What you see with your eyes is so fragile. It's changeable and it's very unstable. It's a mass of swirling energy constantly rearranging itself to reflect its creator, you. Let yourself be guided. Seek to only find your answers from within, as this is the only source of truth in this world. So close your eyes, my loves. Feel into your desires. Allow the energy of who you are to move through you and guide you on your path. Release your need to know, to control, or to see any further ahead than this moment right now. You don't need to see it with your eyes, and you don't need to know what is going to happen next. Just let go and trust the process. All is well.
This is a song requested by Leanne, and she's hoping everyone will sing along. She feels like most of you guys know it, so I think this is going to be a good group song. Love is but a song we sing, fear's the way we die. You can make the mountains rain or make the angels cry. Just one key unlocks them both. It's there at your command. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together. Try to love one another right now. One more time, guys. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together. Try to love one another right now. Right now. Right now. Right now. Yeah. Good job. I think Leanne's gonna take it.
I just love it when people indulge my old hippiedom. I think a lot of you know me, and some of you might not know me. So when I have these glasses on, I can read what I need to here, but I can only see kind of blobs. So if I'm not making the appropriate amount of eye contact, bear with me. It's really nice to see folks here. And I'm going to start with a joke because, you know, when you're not a professional speaker, they always tell you to do that. So this is my favorite spiritual joke, which will also tell you a great deal about my sense of humor. What did the Buddha say to the hot dog vendor? Make me one with everything. You can tell anybody that joke. So actually I'm going to reprise a talk that I did a couple of years ago when we were doing a big transition here. But this week, as I was working on my talk, I also thought a lot about the history of this unity. In 2005, I was actually doing a capstone project at Regis University, getting my bachelor's degree at the age of 50. And I did that project on this organization. So in 2005, we were 30 years old, which means in 2025, not that long from now, we'll be 50 years old, Unity of Fort Collins. So that was helpful to me to think back, and I happened to spend some time looking through the history when I did that project. So I know that for a lot of years, this unity consisted of 10 or 12 people. Sometimes they met in people's homes. They rented different buildings. We had different ministers and spiritual leaders. They've come and gone. If you think about 50 years, that's a pretty long time. So we've survived lots and lots and lots of transitions. We've had spiritual leaders or ministers who were here for a year or less, 15 years or more. But the core part of this community, I think, it's changed a lot, but there's always an essence of heart that appeals to me and I think appeals to a lot of folks. So while we're thinking about being in transition, there might be some fearful thoughts, some, I don't know, trepidation. How are we going to do this again? What are we going to go through? But I'll just use Peggy's words. Peggy was our minister who left in 2019. She retired. And when she announced that, she asked us to fear not. And so I will say those words to you, and I'm going to back up to some of the things that I talked about in that 2019 talk. So Peggy reminded us to fear not, and she advised us that trust, like meditation, takes practice. As that transition unfolded, we had lots of opportunities to practice. From that first talk of Peggy's, when she announced that, and there was a great deal of consternation and people were confused and fearful, but I really got not stuck on, but struck by trust the process. And maybe I did get a little stuck on it because I had it stuck on me. I had trust the process tattooed on my arm because of this church and that process in 2019. So it's served as a daily reminder, a good affirmation. Trust the process, trust the universe, trust life. But I've also realized that it's not a magic fix-it-all, and it isn't just waiting around for whatever to unfold. I like this quote from an author I recently discovered, Elif Shafak. She wrote that patience does not mean to passively endure. It means to be farsighted enough to trust the end result of a process. So as we worked through that big transition in 2019, we worked on healing our past, creating our future. It was an amazing time. People came together, and we're a community of strong people, some really fierce opinions, and an amazing breadth of spiritual thoughts and beliefs. There were times when I wondered if we could get through our differences of opinions about how to search for our next spiritual leader and whether we should rejoin UWM. But we made decisions collectively and we moved forward. So part of this talk today, I ended up finding myself focused on P words, and the first one was people. As part of that process, we created our core values. The people of Unity said this about this place. So think about these we statements. First, our mission statement is at Unity of Fort Collins, we are creating a loving community by holding a safe and sacred space where all are supported to learn, grow, and participate in an awakening world. And our core values, I know we talk about our mission and vision fairly often, but these core values are really important. Inclusion. We welcome every person as naturally good and inherently valuable, no matter where they are on their spiritual journey. Compassion. We open our hearts to each other and to the world in our human experience. Integrity. We live the truth we know. Openness. We are willing to expand our understanding of dynamic and evolving spiritual truth. And community. Together, we create a multifaceted celebration of joy, gratitude, laughter, reflection, and service. So I'm going to share a couple of short poems that kind of helped me through that time. And these are from my earlier talk, so if you've heard it before, just listen again. This one is called Trust the Process by Rebecca Lamerson. There isn't a person alive who doesn't have a question to answer, a life-altering decision to make, a hurt to apologize for, or a void to fill. We all do. We all do. We're rarely satisfied with how we are and how it is. We're always seeking and hoping for more. Huh? This is it? It can't be. Everyone we come in contact with is questioning his or her decisions and existence in some capacity every single day. The reason we find ourselves in distress is that we inherently know. There isn't anyone else who has the answer. No one can solve our riddle, but there's one thing that can help: support. We're here to support each other in our confusion, because love calms the chaos and helps us feel like there may be a solution, and there is. To lean into each other and blindly but consciously trust the process. And Mark Nepo wrote this lovely poem called The Thing About Fear. We try to avoid it, distract ourselves, even put others in the way, because it makes what is necessary seem monumental, It makes what is needed seem uncrossable. Yet when we stumble over the line, or are loved over the line, or in our exhaustion fall beyond our pain, what we feared was a fall to our death turns out to have been the next step. So the day of our congregational meeting in 2019, when we considered changing our bylaws and rejoining Unity Worldwide Ministries, that for me was one of the finest examples of trusting the process here at this Unity. That day, the process we were talking about was consensus, which is how we make decisions here. It can be a long and messy process, but the love and support that unfolded was a beautiful thing. I'm profoundly grateful that we trusted that. Another thing about people here, for me, getting to know people better usually happens through volunteering. I sometimes lead volunteer days, I often participate in them, and I really enjoy that working together time. We take time to talk, get to know each other's interests, and it also involves a level of investment. People get invested in this, what I call our sacred bowl. This place, it's not just the building and the grounds, but the feeling we have here. It's like a container that holds all of us and our disparate thoughts and beliefs, but somehow makes us feel as one. I want this place and this community of open hearts to be here for those in the future who may be drawn here. So another P word is prosperity. Some of you have heard this little personal story of mine, and forgive me if I'm repeating it again, but I love this story. At the end of 2013, I walked away from a corporate job I'd been at for 12 years. I was making a lot of money and had great benefits, and I was miserable. It was killing my soul. And one Friday night, after I cried all the way home from work, I sat myself down and had a little come to Jesus meeting, and it's like, what am I so afraid of? And it was all about the money and the security. And I ultimately decided that I could make changes. I could do whatever I needed to do to live differently. It didn't even matter. So I took a leap of faith, quit that job, ended up with a job here at Unity, a part-time job that I started a couple of months later in February of 2014. And then I got a second part-time job because I said out loud in this room that I needed a second part-time job with benefits. And the people who were sitting right behind me hired me. So I worked 2 part-time jobs for a couple of years, and that was beautiful. And then the other company offered me full-time employment, and that's the job I still work at today. It's a lovely small firm with terrific people, and I've been working from home, which I love. So during that time, someone handed me a card, a little like a business card, but it said, "The unlimited abundance of the universe flows through me with my decision to feel good." And that was really what helped me get over that line. I just wanted to feel good. I was tired of being miserable. A lot of you know that Charles Fillmore, who was one of the founders of Unity, wrote volumes on prosperity. Lots of other New Thought Christian teachers have as well. I'm not going to pretend I'm an expert, but I'll give you my 2 cents worth. For me, it's a matter of thinking about Unity as my spiritual home, wanting to support that. People that I deeply care about have jobs here. I want to support them. There's a sense of community that I've not experienced elsewhere, and I learn something every week. I try to remember why Unity is important to me, and then I think realistically about what I can afford, and I consider the value that Unity provides to me. Is it worth what I might pay for a cup of coffee each week, or going to a movie or out to dinner? I got to a place where it made sense to me to think of it in terms of therapy. So what would that cost me if I went to a therapist every week versus coming here after the world has chipped away at me all week, and I come here and I end up thinking, that's the truth. And I'm able to relax into that. And that's a big value to me. So I sort of feel like I'm making a fundraising pitch like my public radio station does a couple times a year. I'm not trying to do that. I'm asking that you think about giving in terms of what you want to support and why. What's the value? Do you want this unity to be here, to continue into the future? Maybe your support is part of trusting the process. So another P word, personal. 2 years ago when I talked about this, I was barely able to stand because I had chronic back pain. It was a sporadic thing that became chronic, and I was in a terrible pain every day, and I learned a lot from that. More than anything, what has saved me is a practice of yoga called Svarupa Yoga. It's specifically for opening the spine and strengthening the spine. So I'm not going to go on and on about that practice. It has helped me considerably. I'm 80% or more better than I was 2 years ago. But there's a word that came out of that practice that has come to mean a lot that I want to share with you. And the word is soften. In Svarupa Yoga, sometimes it takes up to 5 minutes to get into a pose. It's deliberately slow and deliberately made to not create tension anywhere in your body, because that creates tension in your spine. So when we finally get into a pose, the teacher will say, soften into that. And it's a way, for me, what it does is it brings me into a place in my body that I wasn't aware that even existed. Softening into a pose means you know that you're fully supported, and it just enables the pose to do its work, to help you heal and help you open. So I've adapted that to other places in my life. I didn't even realize I was doing it for a long time. But I remember in an excruciating hour-and-a-half dental appointment when I had 2 hands and 3 instruments in my mouth for an hour and a half, and my body I was tense, so tense that I was hardly touching the chair. And I just reminded myself to soften, and it helped considerably. So now I find it coming up, I don't know, in all kinds of ways. So I'm throwing it out there for you guys to think about. Is there a place in your body or your heart or your head right now that could use a little softening? And the principles, the final P. They're always working, right? We believe that here. Sometimes it's hard to examine that, especially during times of challenge. During transitions here, I have never been more fully human. At times I've been defensive, fearful, taking things personally, being deeply hurt. And at other times, I've never felt more fully divine. To be able to see beyond my own ego to a shared goal of the best and highest good for everyone involved. Learning to lean in, trust the process. Learning that I do best when I get out of my head and stay centered in my heart. Remembering to see God everywhere in everyone, to believe that I'm inherently good, and so is everyone. Creating my experiences by what I think and feel and believe. I will add that for me, I know people co-create experiences, so I have to remember to own the parts that are mine. And using affirmative prayer and meditation. This is one of my favorite sweet little prayers from Saint Teresa. It's called A Prayer for Peace and Healing. May I be at peace. May my heart remain open. May I be aware of the true nature, of my true nature. May I be healed. May I be a source of healing to others. May I dwell in the breath of God. I have one final little reading here. This is one of my favorite spiritual resources. That's a book by Barbara Brown Taylor. It's called An Altar in the World. In this book, she explores different practices about being in our bodies and being in the world. It's not ethereal, metaphysical, heady stuff. It's about being here on earth. And in this chapter, she explores the practice of getting lost. It may seem a little out of context because I'm only going to read 2 paragraphs, but I think you'll get it. At this advanced level, the practice of getting lost has nothing to do with wanting to go there. It's something that happens, like it or not. You lose your job, your lover leaves, the community changes. At this level, the advanced practice of getting lost consists of consenting to be lost, since you have no other choice. The consenting itself becomes your choice as you explore the possibility that life is for you and not against you, in spite of all the evidence to the contrary. This rock-bottom trust seems to come naturally to some people, while it takes disciplined practice for others. I'm one of the latter, a damaged truster who hopes she has lots of time to work up to the advanced level before her own exodus comes. To that end, I keep my eyes open for opportunities to get slightly lost, so that I can gradually build the muscles necessary for radical trust. So let's continue to trust the process and know that we'll get through more transitions. We'll be centered in love, inspired by Spirit. Thank you.
I know what's next. It's the only one left. And feel free to sing along on this one too, especially the chorus.
Yeah, I picked this one so you could sing along,
You don't have to be a hillbilly to remember this chorus.
but it helps. Will the circle be unbroken? By and by, Lord, by and by. There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. I was standing by my window on a cold and cloudy day when I saw that hearse come rolling for to carry my loved one away. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? Come on, guys. There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. I said to that undertaker, Undertaker, please drive slow, for this person you are hauling, oh, I hate to see them go. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. Oh, I followed close behind him. I tried to hold up and be brave, but I could not hide my sorrow when they laid my dear one in the grave. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. I went back home, oh, my home was lonesome. Oh, I miss my dear when they're gone. All my friends and family crying. What a place so sad and alone. Will the circle be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. Tack, will the better be unbroken by and by, Lord, by and by? There's a better home awaiting in the sky, Lord, in the sky. In the sky, Lord, in the sky. Thank you. I just realized that song's kind of about death, which was really not the point. The point was I was looking for a sing-along, and you guys are all looking at me like, okay, this maybe wasn't the one. Anyway, I did see a few people singing. So, in listening to your story, I realized a good friend of mine went and worked with Mother Teresa. Is she Saint Teresa now? Yes. Oh, sorry. Non-issue then. But it did change her life. So she said, I asked her what Mother Teresa was like, and she said, unconditional love, just unconditional love. Can you imagine working with somebody like that? Oops.
I remember hearing a Mother Teresa saying about somebody asking her how she could work with all that death and misery and difficulty, and she said, oh, they're just Christ in distressing disguises. Yeah. It's time for our prosperity blessing. So in non-COVID times, this is the time where we normally pass the basket. And we're not doing that. So there are baskets in two places, one on the corner here and one over there. So if you are so moved, you may put your offering in either of those baskets, and we'll say together our prosperity blessing. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. All right. This is the time of the service where we also do the prayer of protection. But before we head into the next steps, I forgot to acknowledge the folks online, and I'll get better at that. So hi, folks online. And for those folks who would like to join us at the community meeting, we have a Zoom way to be part of the meeting. So we'll invite our folks online to be part of the community meeting, and they'll be able to see what happens in the session here, and they'll have their own breakout group online. I'm going to do the prayer of protection the old way today, if that's all right with you. We said this prayer to our kids every night from the time they were born till now, and they're, well, not every night, they're grown-ups, but it's deep in my heart, this creating this sense of protection for ourselves and our loved ones. And we know that that protection comes from the God within, but sometimes that sense of feeling protected and enfolded in that is just a peaceful place to be. So, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Please join us in the peace song, making a big circle. You can hold hands with people if you came with them, and otherwise, a little social distance.
Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me. Yes, there is peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be with God as our creator. Family, all are we, as we walk with each other in perfect harmony. Yes, peace begins with me. Yes, this is the moment now. With every step I take, this is my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Yes, there is peace on earth, and yes, it begins with me.
So our community meeting will start at about 11:15. We'd love to have you join us, and see you then.